When your skills are really good, markets go up, markets go down, it doesn't matter. Did you do more deals because there was more buyers, or did you do more deals because you actually improved your skills? The people that buy in today's market are the people who have an emotional reason to buy. If you can't connect them from their emotions to get out of the logic, they won't buy from you. Yo, what's up? Welcome back. Vikram Deal here. This is my YouTube channel, and this is where we talk about sales and health and wealth, and sometimes we get into other different things. But today we're going to continue our conversations around making more sales. Because guess what? The market's shifted, and not everybody has shifted with the markets. And I'm not talking about the current economic state. I'm talking about the markets that have shifted the consumer 20 years ago. See, when the consumer changed 20 years ago, guess what didn't change? The training that you were receiving. How do I know? Because I used the same training when I first got into real estate. And guess what? It triggered objections in my prospect. It triggered resistance in my prospect. I didn't know that at the time when we were staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning, rewriting our scripts over really nice big cups of scotch all night long. We didn't know that the consumer had changed. We just knew that the scripts weren't working for our clientele. And so we rewrote the scripts. We had to learn to listen to our prospects. So here's something I want to share with you. If you're currently working with buyers in today's market, we'll talk about sellers maybe a little bit later, maybe another day. My last video went like 45 minutes too long, and my videographer has a life and he has to go places. So if you work with buyers, guess what? You need to have a pipeline that has now buyers. You need to have a pipeline that is 6 to 9 months, and then you need to have a pipeline that's 12 months plus. Here's why. There is no such thing as a now buyer unless you get that motivation out of them. There is no such thing as a future buyer, because we've had future buyers, right? Hey, we're 12, 15, 18 months out. We sit down with them and talk, and 30 days later, they're in a home. We've had now buyers that we've sat down with, still haven't bought a home. It's been 5 years. So you don't know who is going to be a now buyer, and you don't know who's going to be a future buyer, but you need a pipeline of clients. If you don't have a pipeline of clients, unfortunately, what happens is you think all of your now buyers are going to buy now, and they don't. You think all of your future buyers are going to buy in the future, and they don't. And people get life happening, and they swim in and out of being now and future buyers. So you really need to take the energy to sit down with everybody. The only person who I would tell not to sit down with every potential buyer, whether they're 3 years out or 3 days out, is the person whose calendar is so full and they're doing 30, 40, 50, 80 deals a year, and they just don't have the time in their schedule to sit down with everybody. That's the only person I would tell, hey, you really got to shuffle and qualify, right? But if you don't have a packed calendar, and you guys, I meet with 30 to 40 realtors every month, and I look at your calendars, and guess what? I have yet to see one that is packed with appointments. I have yet to see one that can't fit another appointment in. And the way I just always ask, if you had a now buyer, I'm going to write a contract today, would you have an hour in the week to sit down with them? And every single one of them says yes, which means you need to sit down with your prospects. You need to get in front of them. You need to be pounding the pavement. You need to be improving your communication skills. My mentor and friend, Shiraj Shrivastava, the president of Real Broker, says, the person that sits down with the most buyers always wins. And we've been saying this for 10 years. My office sat down with every person they could get an appointment with. Now, I know in the boom market, some people say, well, you probably lost some opportunity. We probably did. We might have. We might not have. I don't know. But every person we sat down with, we built a relationship with, and they were our clients for life. They referred us business. They came to our company parties. They came to our happy hours. They supported us, and we supported them. And the reason why is because we gave them the opportunity up front to have a sit-down meeting. And we were able to pull out and extract the motivation. We were able to pull out and extract their emotions. Why were they buying? What would it do for their family to get their kids in the school district that they wanted? What would it do for their kids to get into the school district? What would it do for the wife to not have to commute for 2 hours? What would it do for the husband to not have to commute for 2 hours? What would it do to go from the apartment to the house with the backyard? What would it be like if they had the community, right, of other like-minded individuals? What would it be like if they were closer to mom and dad? What would it be like if mom and dad were closer to them? What would it be like to not have to go up the stairs anymore, right? We asked a lot of great questions because we had to do the trial and error. And we did it in a way that brought their emotions out where they trusted us, where they wanted to work with us. It caused them to reach out to us. I did an open house and I picked up a $3 million buyer in an open house for another agent. And the agent, the prospect called me after the open house and said, "Hey, Vic, we found you on the internet," because they had an agent. So I didn't give him my card or anything. Well, I gave him a brochure that had my information on him. They said, "Hey, we called you because, we did some research on you after we talked, and we actually want to fire our real estate agent and work with you. Would you have time to meet later today or tomorrow to buy a home?" Are you kidding me? Of course. Of course I have time to meet. You guys are buying it. I'm sitting in a $3.5 million home. It's a $100,000 commission. Of course I have time. I had never sold anything over $1 million at that point. $1.2 million, $1.3 million. I had never sold anything nearly close to $3 million. But because of the communication that I had been learning and practicing, they wanted to use me over the agent that they were referred to that does the high-end luxury selling, that sells the 2 and the 3 and the 4 of the $1 million homes all day long. They didn't like them because that person didn't connect with them. They said, "We didn't feel like that person actually cared. We just felt like another transaction. With you, we really felt like you cared. We really felt like you went above and beyond what we would expect from somebody in an open house. You listened to what we wanted. You heard our needs. You actually told us this wasn't the right house for us." Right? You sat down, and before we started walking through the house, you asked us a bunch of questions, and you said, "This probably isn't going to be the right house for you, but by all means, please still go check it out." And they were blown away because they thought I was going to try to sell them. Doesn't need to sell you nothing. The question I have for you is, a lot of people said that their business grew in 2020, 2021. My question is, did your business grow or did the market grow? Right? Did you do more deals because there was more buyers, or did you do more deals because you actually improved your skills? Most of the people I know in 2022, the market contracted and so did their business. When your skills are really good, markets go up, markets go down, it doesn't matter. The top 20% of real estate agents in any market are still going to do transactions, right? They're going to still have clients call them. They're still going to do prospecting. They're still going to have connection. They're still going to be able to pull out the emotion. The people that buy in today's market are the people who have an emotional reason to buy. If you can't connect them from their emotions to get out of their logic, they won't buy from you. So I really want to stress that in this market, the winners are going to be the people who obviously have a brand, right? You need to do content, short form, long form. You need to build content. It's not like, well, we're thinking, you need to build content in 2023. If you want to survive, you need to build content because that's how you build a brand. That's how you build trust. But you also need to learn the skills to communicate with your prospects. You need to learn how to listen. You need to learn how to ask questions, right? You need to learn how to use a curiosity tone, slow down your pace, use your hands, right? You need to know when to pause. You need to know when to use the ums, right? You need to know when to use a little bit of a skeptical tone. Whoa, hey, who told you that, right? You need to go from a skeptical tone to a concerned tone. You might need to go from a skeptical tone to an assertive tone. You might need to go from a skeptical tone to an empathetic tone. You might need to go from empathy to curiosity, right? If you don't know how to do that in today's market, you're not going to book appointments. The goal isn't for you to sell the prospect. The goal is for you to connect the prospect to their problems. And by you connecting the prospect to their problems, by asking great questions, it allows you to get the prospect to want to do business with you. So let's run through a couple of quick examples just so that you guys have some things to use. I want to give you some tools. When you ask the prospect, "Hey, ring, ring. Hey, John." "Yeah, John Smith." "Yeah. Hey, it's just Vikram with the Real Estate Sales Academy. I'm calling because you had inquired about 123 Banana Street And I was just wondering if you've already bought a home or are you still looking, right? Just right out the gate. Have you already bought a home? Or are you still looking? No, we're still looking. Okay, great. And, I guess I'm going to slow down. And I guess I was just curious, what was it about 123 Banana Street that I guess, caught your eye? What was it that made you inquire about 123 Banana Street? They're going to say, so, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, blah, blah, blah. And I guess why is a 4-bed, 2-bath important to you now though? And they're going to say some things and you're going to listen to what they say. Now, let's say that they say their house is currently cramped. Could you share what do you mean by your house is currently cramped? What do you mean by that? Oh, well, we got a couple of kids and a couple dogs and, we're just tight on space. Okay, great. And when you say you're tight on space, what are like, you guys like crammed up, like one person sleeping on the other person, or, is like, you're in a 3-bed, 2-bath, like what, I guess 2-bed condo, like what, tell me a little bit more about your current situation. And they'll tell you a little bit more, right? And when they tell you about their problem, they're also reminding themselves that they have a problem. And I guess why isn't it really an issue? Like why, you got 2 kids. I had a friend that had 5 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. Like, why is that a problem? Oh, well, my wife and I both work from home. Oh, okay. And what does that mean? Well, we don't have an office. We're using the living room. The kids are running around. They don't have a backyard. Oh, and I guess how is that affecting your guys' day-to-day activities? Oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Right? Now we're starting to get some stuff out of them. Now we're starting to get them a little bit deeper. So I guess what would having a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in this neighborhood with this backyard, what would that do for you? Well, do X, Y, and Z. Oh, wow. I guess how would that make you feel if you had that kind of property, right? You start to ask these questions that elicit these emotions. And then when you say, hey, I think maybe we should sit down, right? Here's one of the best frames for booking an appointment, right? One of the best frames for booking an appointment. Well, John, I was wondering, has anybody sat down and educated you on the 3 most important things about buying a home in today's market? They're going to say no. Like, oh, wow, that could be a little problematic. Well, I guess if you're open to it and you would find it helpful, I guess if you're, would you be opposed to sitting down for a quick cup of coffee? And before the coffee gets cold, I'll share with you the top 3 things I share with all my top clients about buying a home in today's market. They're going to say, no, I wouldn't be opposed. Most people, 80%, 90% will say no. And then you're going to follow up with what works better, Tuesday at 4 or Thursday at 6? No, that's salesy. You're going to follow up, well, what would work better for you and your partner, Sally, for like afternoons or more like weekends? He's going to say weekends, and then you're like, great, I have some time at like 10 o'clock or I have some time at 2. One of those work for you. You guys notice how it's all very neutral language? Would one of those, not what works better for you, would one of those work for you? Actually, Sunday would be better. Okay, great. Let me see if I can do, nope, Sunday's my day for the kids. Can't do that. Now you kind of find a time if you need to. You gave them so many options, they're going to adjust to you, right? Because you gave them so many options. Now, it's totally different than what you've been taught, right? I know it's totally different than what you've been taught. Using neutral language, pushing the prospect away, getting them to open up emotionally to you, figuring out why they need the 4-bed, 2-bath, not just, cramped space. You're actually getting deep into their emotions. When you do that, you win. And guess who else wins? Your prospect, because they get to upgrade their life. Because look, the economy is going to go up, the economy is going to go down, but we only have a certain amount of time here on this planet. And we only have a certain amount of time with the people we care about. So why live in a cramped situation? Why live with stairs if you got bad knees? Why live in a cramped house if you got kids that need space to run around? And why pay for private school when you can get your kids into a better school district? But if you don't know that, you can't help them. Anyways, if you like this content, you guys do me a favor, smash the subscribe button. If you have a friend that needs some help, tag them, share this with them. If you possibly might want to look into booking a time on my calendar to chat about your specific situation and how we might be able to help you make more sales, do me a favor, just type grow in the message or go to Instagram, go to my handle, send me a DM, Coach Vikram Diol. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.